It's also a monthly trip to the Cleveland Metro Park Zoo. We also show you some of the best natural scenery in Northeast Ohio. And we profile activities you can try. So watch Cleveland Metro Parks Magazine. That's Channel 45 in the city of Cleveland and Channel 24 in the suburbs, right here on Cablevision.
If you're not happy with local sports talk these days, join me, Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Cleveland sports, for more sports in Les Levine, Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. and replays at 11 p.m. on Cablevision channels 24 and 45 and throughout the week on Fox Sports Ohio. We'll open up the phone lines. We'll talk to guests like Al Lerner, Carmen Policy, Mike Hargrove, Mike Fratello, and Wayne Embry. Monday through Friday at 6 and 11 on Cablevision channels 24 and 45 and Fox Sports Ohio.
The Midnight Movie has become a very special part of our lives.
What's up with that green guy on the Flintstones?
Watch the show and we'll send you a free bowl of soup.
I'd rather be bathed in pig's blood than watch these movies.
Well, yeah, they're bad, but they're classic.
Watch us
on the Midnight Movie.
Hey! I love working with you.
Good evening and welcome to Speak Out Live. I'm Kate Hubin. Tonight we have a very special guest, Mayor Mike White. The mayor has graciously agreed to spend the entire hour with us tonight and take questions from our viewers. Mayor White, as many of you know, has been mayor of Cleveland for the past 10 years. During that time, crime has declined by 25%, 7 new industrial parks have been developed, and nearly 30,000 jobs have either been retained or created in the city. This is good news for Cleveland and for Clevelanders. Mayor White has, however, been a lightning rod for criticism on everything from employee turnover to the Cleveland Browns to our airport. But is that just part of being mayor? Hopefully, Mayor White will shed some light on these and many more important topics on tonight's show. Please welcome Mayor White.
Good evening, Mother-to-be.
Thank you so much. So thank God
feel?
we made it this far, you know. I thought October 26th, the mayor's coming. If I can just make it to that night, then, you know, as of tomorrow, we can deliver the child.
Well, Kate, I want you to know that the police car and the police
It's ready
officer
to go.
drive me around. They're backed in. The alarm is ready. The flashlight will go in case we have a problem here.
Just in
we'll
case.
get you to the hospital and your husband on time.
This is live television, so you never know what can happen, too, you know. All right, Mayor, first things first. We got to talk about the farmer thing, okay?
The farmer thing.
I mean, you and Joanne, as the Clampetts surveying your land is very funny to me. I mean, tell me about that.
I think most people look at me, Kate, just as a city guy.
I do.
They don't know that at Glenville High School I majored in horticulture. They don't know I was the only African American in the freshman class at the Ag School at Ohio State in 1969.
I heard this, that you were an ag major.
I was an ag major. They don't know that the very first job I got in my entire life at 13 was working for a PhD in agriculture. So throughout all my life, and that I've had a garden since I was 13 years old. So throughout all my life, I've wanted to be near farming. Joanne and I talked a lot about where we'd like to spend some quiet time. We could have done the Florida condo thing. I don't think they would have flown over and taken a picture of the condo. But we wanted someplace close. We wanted to be in Ohio.
How far is it, about an hour?
About an hour and 40 minutes. And the people are nice. The area is nice. It's very quiet. It's just us, the deer, and the woodchucks.
Were you there when they actually came and took the photograph where you say, who's that helicopter hovering
We were
above
in the
my
house.
So when you're there and you're relaxing, what are you thinking about? Who are you calling? Like, I have my group.
No one.
No one? You're just completely disassociated.
Unless it's an emergency. We have a fax machine. Joanne ruled out the computer.
Good thinking,
so
Joanne.
in case there's an emergency, people can get to me pretty quickly.
But I do think that people are interested in that. You know, when I know I have my group of confidants, I like to call them my Yenta friends, and we, you know, when I have an issue, I call them up and we talk about which direction. It must be kind of hard to say, call up a friend and say, you know, I've got this airport thing going on. What do you think I should do? I mean, who do you call when you're really looking for some guidance?
Well, my best friend is Joanne. So, as you know, Joanne is a former council president in Lakewood. She's been involved or in politics or involved or nearby politics for a long time. So not only is she a good wife and a good partner, but she's a good confidant as well.
And do you find that she can completely understand her new role? And is it probably, it's got to be a little overwhelming for her sometimes too. All of a sudden she was kind of a good anonymous person. Now she's, not that Joanne's ever really been anonymous, but.
Now she can't get gas
Right.
without somebody coming up. I know you.
Right.
Right, right. I think she's adjusted well. We both have been involved in this business for a long time. Joanne and I worked together for 8 years on various projects before we ever had our first date. So I think she understood pretty well going into it, but it's been even a little bit more than what she would have thought.
I bet going on your first date with Mayor White's probably pretty interesting. What'd you do? Did you go to dinner? Did you go to a movie? What'd you do?
We had dinner at her place.
Okay.
In her words, if we had gone out, we would have had to go on to west of Toledo.
Absolutely. I don't think that you probably have an enormous amount of freedom, you know.
No, someone's always there watching.
Yeah, Joanne has even told me that sometimes riding her bike not too far, even if she makes a fool of herself and she'll fall off her bike or something like that, there's somebody, you know,
Yes.
a police officer making sure that she's watched, and that's got to be an adjustment. And how about I sent out emails to a lot of my friends that I was doing this interview, and a lot of them actually, I can't believe how many people wrote me back and said that they wanted to hear about what was going on last week with Colin Powell here and the Neighborhoods First initiative, which was, both things happened last week. So if you could tell me a little bit about, so much has happened just in the last week. First of all, let's talk a little bit about Colin Powell. You declared year 2000, year of the child.
Year of our children.
Our children.
Kate, I'm a child of this city. As I said at the luncheon, people look at me as the mayor. They look at me as a lightning rod. I'm sure we'll talk about that later. But in reality, if you think about my history, born and raised in Glenville, I live 3 blocks from where I grew up. Tonight, when I go home, I'll pass my elementary school. I'm a true child of Cleveland. Went to the Cleveland Public Schools. If it had not been for my church on 105th Street, had not been for my mother and father, had not been for the Cleveland Public Schools, there's no way I would have ever been mayor.
Do you still go to the same church that you did when you were a kid?
No, I do not, but I live nearby.
Okay.
And so our thinking is that we need to concentrate more on our most valuable resource. There are a lot of children out there, Kate, today who are smarter than I ever was in school, who have far bigger dreams than I ever had, and far greater ability. And we need to concentrate on what we can do to assure they have their chance to chase their dream, capture their dream, and live their dream. I am living my own dream. At 14, I decided I wanted to be mayor. I chased my dream for 24 years. I caught my dream at 38. I've lived it now for 10 years. It is a great opportunity, but every child, doctor, lawyer, person with their own show on a cable franchise, consultant, whatever their dream is, go for it. But they can't go for it if we do not become more focused on the kind of environment they live in, the kind of economic structure they're in, the kind of family situation they have, and how they're educated. So our thinking was that with all this talk about the Y2K and what might happen, what might not happen, let's spend a portion of that time thinking about how will children in the new millennium in Cleveland, not America, not Ohio, not New York, in Cleveland, what can we do as a community to ensure that they will have a better life, they will have better opportunities, and they can bring better opportunities to their families? Because people don't, I think, understand that when a child has problems, either drops out of school or goes on drugs or whatever the problem is, you know, they don't disappear. They live in this town. They're either going to contribute or they're not going to contribute. If they're contributing, it's good. If they're not contributing, it's going to hurt society. So everything we do, literally on behalf of children, really helps us.
Do you look at your experience and identify what made it different for you? I mean, why at 14, Mayor, would you think, I could take this leadership? Was it because you had 2 loving parents? Was it because you didn't miss a day of school? What was it?
I think there were a lot of reasons. First of all, Kate, I had 2 loving parents. Every day at 6 o'clock, my father was in his 1955 Chevy on the way to Chase Brass to work. He worked 6 days a week. He had 2 jobs, and I thought, until I was 33, I thought that was normal. I had a loving mother who challenged me at every turn. They had a very simplistic attitude toward education, and they'd look me in the eye with those soft brown eyes. You know how parents can be loving.
Yes.
They said, Michael, you're either going to learn or we're going to kill you. So it was very simple. You're going to learn.
And did you have siblings?
Had siblings. I had teachers principals and counselors who never told me that I couldn't achieve my goals. I had a great support structure in the community. I had great role models. And if you think about the things that I'm saying, you can begin to take away from what children have today. How many children in Cleveland come from single-parent households? Not a determinant that they won't make it, but clearly it's a handicap from time to time, especially on the income side. Secondly, we know what's going on in education. We're working to make it better, but it's not going to happen overnight. Third of all, role models. Our children have all the wrong role models today. Too many wrong role models that we need to fix. So if you begin to think about why I was able to chase my dream for 24 years, the things that were important to me, and if you look at what's going on with children today, you can begin to see that those props, I didn't get here by myself.
Right.
There were an awful lot of people, Cleveland Scholarship Program, the Jewish Federation, many of these organizations who work with children at the time when I was coming along who helped me get there. I didn't, I wasn't just hatched and I made it on my own.
And who were your role models then and who are they now? Have they changed?
Interestingly enough, no. My family role models were my mother and my father and my uncles, great role models. Outside of my family, 3 people: Robert F. Kennedy, John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King Jr. And they remain my role models today, and Carl Stokes, why I'm doing what I'm doing. And even today, after all the other people that we've seen come and go, they remain my role models.
I want to talk a little bit when we come back from the break about how we can maybe facilitate that sort of progress. If it's maybe not in the home, if it's not a 2-parent home, how we can maybe create a more supportive environment, certainly in the...
We need to go back to the future.
All right, Back to the Future. We're going to come back in a break. Don't forget, we're taking your calls tonight, 575-0405. We're talking to Mayor White. We'll be right back.
With the year 2000 approaching, we're trying to make sure the software here at SportsCenter is Y2K compliant.
Y2K test in 3, 2, 1.
Oops.
More from the NBA and an NFL trade right after this.
We still have a few bugs to work out, but we'll be ready.
Follow me! Follow me to freedom!
Watch ESPN on Cablevision.
A new century is coming, and with it, 1,000 questions. Will your family ever be in harm's way? Will a small town in Texas be hit with a hurricane? Will your daughter ever need a new kind of blood treatment? We have no crystal ball for the world that awaits. Just one promise. We'll be there.
Sundays on CNN. Watch CNN on Cablevision.